After the dark forest, Atlas made a promise to himself: listen carefully, act carefully, but never stop moving forward. The old silver traveling case from episode 8 sat waiting on the workbench, dust finally wiped clean. Atlas clicked it open. Inside, folded fabric, a brass spyglass, a rolled star chart. Not weapons, not broadcasters, just tools for looking. He traded his mechanic goggles for something new, a pair of round brass-rimmed explorer lenses. A light cobalt-trimmed vest replaced the heavy tool belt, lighter, quieter, built for travel, not transmission. The last piece, a small violet neckerchief, tied loosely, a nod to the crown he wore back in episode 1. Atlas caught his own reflection in the workshop glass and almost didn't recognize himself. Same fox, different mission. If listening from home wasn't enough, and broadcasting was dangerous, there was only one option left. Go look, quietly, carefully, in person. He unrolled the star chart across the workbench, dozens of faint universe maker boxes marked in soft gray ink. Somewhere among them, there had to be a box built enough like his own to actually visit. Not just any box. One with the right conditions for life to begin. The same lucky conditions Architect Boy's own universe had. Atlas rolled the chart back up, clipped the spyglass to his vest, and stepped toward the workshop door. Before Atlas could search, he needed to know exactly what he was searching for. The concept has a nickname almost everyone has heard, even if they don't know the science behind it: the Goldilocks Zone. Named, quite literally, after the fairy tale. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. Officially, scientists call it the Habitable Zone, the distance from a star where a planet could have liquid water on its surface. Too close to a star, and water boils away into steam. Too far, and it freezes solid. Somewhere in between, water can stay liquid, and liquid water is the one ingredient every form of life on Earth has needed. In our own solar system, NASA marks that zone starting between Venus and Earth and stretching out toward Mars. Earth sits comfortably inside it. Venus is a little too close. Mars sits right at the cold edge. Atlas projected a simple diagram onto the ship's window. A star, 3 colored rings, red for too hot, blue for too cold, green for just right. The green ring was thin, deceptively thin, compared to all the red and blue around it. That thin green line was what Atlas was about to go hunting for, not just once, but across dozens of boxes. It sounded simple: distance, temperature, water. But nothing about a real search for a home is ever quite that simple. The ship's engines hummed to life as Atlas set a slow, careful course. The first complication: not all stars are the same, and neither are their Goldilocks zones. A bigger, hotter star pushes its habitable zone much farther out. A smaller, dimmer star pulls its habitable zone in tight, close to home. Our sun is what's called a G-type star, bright, but with a lifespan of about 10 billion years. Smaller K-type stars burn dimmer, but far longer, tens of billions of years of stable light. Some scientists actually call K-dwarfs the true Goldilocks stars, stable enough and bright enough to give life plenty of time. Then there are the small, cool red dwarfs, M-type stars, the most common stars in the galaxy. Their habitable zones sit dangerously close to the star itself. So close that a planet there often ends up tidally locked. One side in permanent day, the other in permanent night. Atlas sketched 3 little stars on his window, each with a ring around it, wide, medium, and painfully thin. Bigger star, easier target. Smaller star, trickier search. He adjusted the ship's scanners to check star type first, before even looking at the planets around them. No point checking a planet's temperature if you don't know how hot its sun actually runs. Step 1 of the survey: find the right kind of star. Step 2, Atlas reminded himself, would be much harder, because distance alone doesn't guarantee a livable world. Take Venus. It's not that far outside Earth's cozy zone, but its thick atmosphere traps heat like a furnace lid. A runaway greenhouse effect turned Venus into the hottest planet in the solar system, hotter even than Mercury, which sits closer to the Sun. Now take Mars, technically near the outer edge of the zone, and once, billions of years ago, it likely had liquid water. But Mars lost most of its atmosphere. Without a thick enough blanket, whatever warmth it had simply leaked away into space. Atlas held up two small model planets, one wrapped in a thick coat, one wrapped in almost nothing. It's not just where you stand, in the great cosmic Goldilocks. It's what you're wearing. Atmosphere, magnetic field, planet size. All of it matters just as much as distance from the star. A magnetic field, for one, shields a planet's atmosphere from being stripped away by stellar wind, something Earth has, and Mars mostly doesn't. Atlas added the new checklist items to his scanner: distance, star type, atmosphere thickness, magnetic field. 4 boxes to check, not one. He glanced at his star chart. Dozens of candidates. Hours of quiet scanning ahead. No broadcasting, no pinging. Just passive light and gas analysis from a careful distance. Exactly the lesson Episode 12 had taught him. Atlas took a breath, aimed the ship's sensors at the first candidate box, and began. Real scientists do something remarkably similar, just at a scale Atlas could only dream of. NASA's Kepler Space Telescope, launched in 2009, quietly watched over 150,000 stars for tiny dips in brightness. The shadow of a planet passing in front. Kepler alone confirmed thousands of exoplanets, including some sitting right inside their star's habitable zone. One standout, Kepler 186f, the first roughly Earth-sized planet ever confirmed inside another star's Goldilocks zone. Atlas pulled up a small glowing card with its name and stats, tucking it into a growing candidates folder. Another real discovery, the TRAPPIST-1 system, a small red dwarf star with 7 Earth-sized planets, 3 of them sitting in the habitable zone at once. 7 planets, 3 chances, all around one small, patient star. And closest of all, Proxima Centauri b, orbiting the nearest star to our own sun, sitting right in its tiny Goldilocks zone. Atlas added all 3 as reference cards, real data points to calibrate his own scanner against. If real telescopes could find these from thousands of light years away, his little ship had a fighting chance closer to home. The scanner beeped softly. Candidate box #1, incoming data. A yellow star, a rocky planet, right distance, right star type. Atlas leaned forward, cautiously hopeful. Then the atmosphere reading came in. His ears drooped. Candidate #1, atmosphere far too thick. A runaway greenhouse, just like Venus. Surface hot enough to melt metal. Atlas marked it with a small red X and moved on. Candidate #2, a planet hugging a tiny red dwarf star, well within the zone on paper. But the scanner flagged something else. Permanent tidal lock. One side scorched in eternal daylight, the other frozen in endless night. Only a thin ring of twilight in between might ever be survivable. Atlas sighed and marked a cautious yellow question mark instead of a red X. Maybe, but complicated. Candidate #3 looked perfect on every chart. Right star, right distance, right size. Then the scanner returned a flat, empty reading. No atmosphere at all. Stripped bare, likely by its star's radiation. A beautiful, deadly, airless rock. Atlas rubbed his eyes. 3 candidates down, 0 successes. This is what real astronomers do too, he reminded himself. Check hundreds of candidates for every one true success story. It wasn't failure, it was filtering. Still, his tail drooped a little with each red mark on the chart. He allowed himself exactly one long, dramatic sigh, the kind only a tired baby fox explorer can manage, before sitting back up. Candidate #4 was already loading. Candidate #4. A modest yellow-orange star, warm but stable. A K-type. A true Goldilocks star. Distance, right in the middle of the habitable zone. Not the hot edge, not the cold edge. Atlas held his breath as the atmosphere reading came in. Balanced, thick enough to hold warmth, thin enough not to trap it into a furnace. Magnetic field, present, steady, protective. One by one, every box on Atlas's checklist lit up green. For the first time all night, the little ring on his star chart glowed a soft, steady emerald. Atlas stared at it in silence, almost afraid to believe it. It looked, on paper, remarkably like the very first readings Architect Boy's own universe must have once had. Every instinct told him to broadcast the discovery immediately, loudly, proudly. But episode 12's lesson held firm. Excitement is not the same as safety. Atlas logged the coordinates quietly instead, encrypting the file, marking it for his eyes only. No signal sent, no announcement made, just a careful, private note. Candidate Green 1. Promising. Approach with caution. He allowed himself one small, private smile, the first real hope since the Dark Forest file. Somewhere out there, a thin green ring was waiting. And now, so was Atlas. Atlas eased the ship into a slow, quiet orbit, far enough away to stay hidden, close enough to keep watching. He unrolled the star chart one more time and circled Candidate Green 1 in soft violet ink. Tonight's search hadn't found a signal, or a stranger, or an answer to the Dark Forest. But it had found something almost as valuable, a place worth being careful about. The scanner chimed one final time, archiving the day's data under a new folder. Goldilocks Survey, ongoing. Every subscriber tonight becomes part of that careful search, another quiet set of eyes scanning for green rings in the dark. As Atlas powered down the scanners, a very faint, unrelated blip flickered briefly on an old, unused frequency. Atlas frowned, replaying it. A strange, structured pattern he didn't recognize. Nothing like tonight's search at all. He filed it away for later, a small folder labeled simply, Investigate Next. Some mysteries, Atlas was learning, like to wait patiently until you're ready for them. He tied his little violet neckerchief a bit tighter and looked out at the stars. Thank you for exploring quietly with me tonight, architects. The search for a true home continues, carefully, patiently, one green ring at a time. See you next transmission.